What does H.R. 1 mean to you as a voter? My purpose today is to persuade you to oppose H.R. 1, the For the People Act, from becoming law. I grew up in a family that's very interested in the political landscape. My family relies on sound policies in order to make a living. To know what policies are sound, we look into different resources and the actual terms used in the bill to draw a conclusion from the whole truth, not just sensational headlines. The information from today has been sourced directly from accredited agencies that have been published within the last 6 months. As American citizens, we have a vested interest in the political system. Changes to voting that H.R. 1 would enact will deeply affect everyone. After hearing what I have to say today, I believe you will agree that these changes are not good for your voting rights. I'll begin by explaining the problem and covering the causes of the problem, and then conclude with my solution. With our roadmap in place, let's begin with the problem. The problem is, some lawmakers support passing the H.R. 1 For the People Act. For example, Maryland Representative John Sarbanes, in an interview with CNN's Don Lemon on March 5th, 2021, stated, "I don't think the urgency has ever been greater. When you look at what Republicans are doing across the country in state houses to roll back access to the ballot box, we need to do what we can to establish baseline standards and best practices that allow people to register and vote in America without being an obstacle course for them." Another example is House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer, a Maryland Democrat who spoke on the House floor on March 2nd, 2021. The American people must have faith that their government is truly their own, that is an expression of their collective will, and that it can be delivered results that improve their lives and offer them hope for a better future. That is what H.R. 1, the For the People Act, aims to do. Reassure the American people that their government will always work for them. These two examples indicate lawmakers support H.R. 1 despite its potentially disastrous impact on American voters. The problems covered, we'll look at the causes. There are two primary reasons why lawmakers support H.R. 1. The first reason comes from the belief that H.R. 1 will increase voter accessibility. Jane Tim of NBC News published an article for his news agency on 10 March 2021. The article was titled, "Democrats Rethink the U.S. Voting System. What's in the massive H.R. 1? He explains H.R. 1 will authorize online voter registration, create an automatic registry for new voters, and create a system of vote by mail. In other words, H.R. 1 will increase voter access by making it easier to register and to vote. However, this increases accessibility comes at the cost of increased risk for voter fraud. In a press release on March 2nd, 2021, Congressman Mo Brooks explained why he believes H.R. 1 will increase voter fraud. It is a recipe for massive voter registration fraud by hackers and cyber criminals through online voter registration that is not tied to an existing state record such as a driver's license. It would make it a criminal offense for a state official to reject a voter registration application where the official believes the individual is ineligible to vote. What Representative Mo Brooks is saying is that the way H.R. 1 will open up voter accessibility also opens up massive voter fraud opportunities. The second reason comes from the belief that H.R. 1 will increase transparency in the way elections are funded. Representative Nancy Pelosi spoke at an event on March 3rd, 2021. This is called the For the People bill, and doing so can combat big, dark, special interest money in politics and amplify the voice of the American people. Representative Pelosi is saying that H.R. 1 will make where election funding is coming from more visible to the American people. However, this supposed increased transparency comes at the cost of freedom of speech of nonprofit organizations. Two ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union lawyers, Kate Ruane and Sonia Gill, released a statement March 3rd, 2021, the Washington Post, on what limits H.R. 1 to place on freedom of speech. It could directly interfere with the ability of many to engage in political speech without causes they care about and that impact their lives by imposing new and onerous disclosure requirements on nonprofit committed to advancing those causes. To summarize this statement, H.R. 1 would, in their opinion, limit nonprofit organization voices when it comes to political causes they support. Nonprofits will be forced to disclose where all their funding comes from before they can monetarily support a candidate. This means bureaucratic hoops that nonprofits would have to jump through and face harsh penalties for. With causes covered, let's turn to the solution. The solution, which is to encourage your representatives to oppose H.R. 1, offers two benefits. First benefit is to prevent the use of taxpayer dollars being used to fund political campaigns. Slide. Representative Rodney Davis from Illinois lays out the benefits of the For the People Act for politicians, stating an article released March 7, 2021 for The Hill, which is an independent political news site. H.R. 1 creates public subsidies for campaigns for a 6-to-1 taxpayer match on small donor campaign contributions of up to $200. For every $200, the federal government will pay $1,200 of taxpayer dollars to a congressional or presidential campaign. And regardless of whether you support my bid for re-election, $1 million in public funds would have been given to me to get me re-elected last cycle had H.R. 1 been enacted. This means that taxpayer money will be going to political candidates that voters might not even truly support. Second benefit is preventing voter fraud that H.R. 1 would allow. Governor Greg Abbott of Texas said that this is an interview with Fox News on April 6, 2021. H.R. 1 would be a total disaster because it institutionalizes the avenues to perpetuate voter fraud in the United States of America. The governor of Texas is simply highlighting how badly H.R. 1 will open up the election process to voter fraud. In conclusion, lawmakers that support H.R. 1 are misleading their constituents, and should this bill pass, it will heavily affect elections by imposing monetary benefits to politicians and creating opportunities for voter fraud. First, we learned about 2 lawmakers who support H.R. 1. 2 lawmakers who support H.R. 1 are Representative John Sarbanes and House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer of Maryland. Next, we learned the 2 primary reasons why some lawmakers support H.R. 1, which is believes that H.R. 1 will increase voter accessibility and H.R. 1 will increase transparency in how elections are funded. Finally, we learned that the solution is to encourage representatives to oppose H.R. 1, which offers 2 benefits, which is preventing taxpayer dollars from funding political campaigns and preventing voter fraud. Now we've learned a little bit about H.R. 1 means for us as voters. It's up to all of us to contact our representatives and ensure they vote against this bill.